This is the Misdirected Mark Podcast, a podcast about gaming, game mastering, and entertaining you, our listeners. We are explicit, you have been warned, and I'd like to thank Mike Willard for letting us use his music on our show. Now let's pick up those mics and get on with this thing.
And welcome to episode 32 of Misdirected Mark Plays. Tonight we will discuss Cortex mods in this Cortex Primer. But first, I'm Jerry.
My name is Phil.
Oh, I'm Chris.
And I am Old Man Logan.
Cool. Let's do a few announcements before we get into the main topic. So, if you are a fan of horror and coffee, mostly horror though, you might want to check out Coffee Flavored Horror, where Jerry and John talk about horror movies and, get into some jackassery along the way. Also, there is a game called You Never Told Me on itch.io by our queen, Senda. It is an epistolatory game. Did I pronounce it epistolatory?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Seems reasonable.
Which is a letter writing game where you are an immortal. You walk into a museum and you find a letter written from another immortal to you, and you decide to respond. It is a game for 2 players, and you write letters back and forth. It's free, I think, on itch.io. Pay what you want. So if you want to help playtest this game, and you are a fan of Senda and Panda's Talking Games and us over here, check it out. Those are our announcements. Let's get into our main segment, where we're going to talk about Cortex mods in the garage.
Access granted.
Unlike other episodes that we've done for this, there was no real great way to do like an intro thing, because we're just going to talk about 3 different mods today. Probably. Just 3.
Mods are good.
Mods are good. Mods are good. These mods are things that we utilize in our Children of the Shroud game, but we don't use them quite the way that they are presented. We have modified the mod, essentially. So I thought they'd be good for us to talk about. The 3 mods are action-based resolution, the Doom pool, which really we're getting into crisis pools, which I should say that's not part of our Children of the Shroud game. It's part of our Aux game.
Sure.
That's why that one's in there. And the idea of stress and how it's utilized and how we utilize it, because we do some things surrounding stress that are not quite the way that it's intended to be used if you have the stress mod in there. So starting with the first one, we're going to hit action-based resolution. So action-based resolution is a rule that takes the rules for tests and contests and smashes them together. Using this mod, anything a player, character, or GMC does is called an action. Now, if you want to carry out an action, you declare it, you gather up your pool, and you roll a dice. You've heard us talk about that all before. It's the same as if you were starting a contest. But instead of moving back and forth in escalation like a contest, the action is opposed by a reaction, which is either the target of the action rolling their own dice or a difficulty set by the GM rolling difficulty dice. If the reaction beats the action total, the action fails. All right, that is the actual rule for action-based resolution, which we don't do at all.
Right.
We do none of this.
Probably because I didn't remember how to do it.
It's also, I actually don't like action-based resolution because it has the setter roll afterwards.
Sure.
It's flipped from what we normally do in the game. And that would change a lot of the game. It would give the defender way more opportunity to be successful than the attacker, than the person that is doing the thing. Because just the way that it's ruled, because we're basically flicking it around. So the person that rolls to react gets to do everything after the fact, and the person that rolled first to like try to accomplish a thing doesn't get to add any more dice in it or anything like that. They have to do it all beforehand.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive the way it's written.
It's not the way that I would like to do it, which I'm glad we never actually used it. We just did it wrong the entire time.
I mean, honestly, we did it wrong largely because it pretty much works like the wrong way in most games.
Yes.
Right. In most games, you roll to beat a target number, some difficulty, some DC or something like that. In this case, all we did was sub in the roll to set that difficulty, and then you guys take a run at that difficulty.
Yeah.
Largely, my guess is because I'm bad with rules that I just did it the way I thought it should be, rather than.
Come on, it's not just you. Everybody who listens to this game knows that I'm sitting here like essentially like rulesing the game as we're playing it.
Sure.
So I was like, it just doesn't seem right.
But I mean, I've done this consistently wrong across.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, Aux does it this way. Long Live the Queen does it this way. Like, I just don't like that reverse. Like, to me, it's counterintuitive to the way it feels like it should be. And I'm not digging on Cam or anything. This isn't my flavor. Like, I like action-based resolution version 2.
I think the big problem with it is that it requires the players to spend all their resources before they know if they succeeded or not.
That's true. That's a big, huge problem with it.
It's a lot of games have that problem where it's you roll. Okay, now do you want to spend your advantage to see if you beat the number or not before I tell you what the number is, and then you spend the advantage and it didn't matter anyway because you already beat the number. That sort of thing. Where man, if I would have spent that one plot point to add a couple dice, or I would have actually succeeded. So reversing it puts the advocacy more in the hands of the players, and I like that.
I will say that, like, in one of our more recent Children of the Shroud games, we started using Popcorn Initiative, which is not also outside of action-based resolution. Because action-based resolution is like your typical, we should have initiative and everybody's a turn in the round. It would be fine to me. I wouldn't mind playing that way, but I really like the Popcorn Initiative because there's some sort of strategy that goes along with that. And it lets everybody, and if the environment gets a turn, to get a turn. I think that is just a way better way to go about it.
Yeah. I mean, Popcorn Initiative goes to the thing you like, which is interesting decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes, during the fight, it makes an interesting decision of when to go, when to let the bad guy go. You know, do you chance it and try to all pile on before the bad guy goes because the bad guy could go twice in the next turn and like all of those things.
And actually, we used action-based resolution in the chase scene with Samia, and that actually screwed us up because we couldn't do things in the order that we wanted to.
Yeah.
And you can actually hear that. Like, I think one time I was like, I want to do this. I'm like, it's Bob's turn, though.
Yeah.
It creates a lot of decision-making, which difficult decisions is one of the things that we thrive on.
To me, it also creates teamwork.
Yes.
Because if I can choose who goes next, and then somebody can be like, I'm going to choose you next after that, then we can set up a thing and pay it off, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to use my action to create an advantage on the table of some sort using my magic.
Off balance.
Yep, off balance. Then somebody's going to slap that person harder, and then somebody's going to use all that just to attack them to deal stress.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
in our wrong stress rules, which we'll talk about that later.
But doing it
sense of theme
the opposite way from the way the rule is written in the book was perfectly natural because of 40 years of games basically saying you set the difficulty and then you attack it.
Not only that, but tests and contests are the other way anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was so weird that when I finally realized that we were doing it wrong, that it was written the opposite way. I'm like, why did they do that? I still don't understand. I've been trying to figure it out for a while. I've been thinking about this and pondering it. Like, why did they write it that way?
Well, and I guess that is the big question, right? Like, what's the design thought behind that? What makes that particular configuration interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I will say, if you decide to use the action-based resolution mod, I think you're perfectly fine just doing it the other way. Like, you just have somebody set. If you're going to attack somebody, have them set, and then you can make your action after that. I'm going after this trait on the table. Well, cool. This person is attached to that trait so they can defend it. So let them set, and then you can attack it. Like, it seems fine to me. It also, that way creates more success for the person that's taking the action, which to me is more fun anyway, because I'd hate null results for the most part. Anybody else have any thoughts about action-based resolution? I like our version better.
I mean, I like it. I mean, I like it in general because while I like the test and the challenge, like, I don't know, it seems too, locked in. Like, I like the flexibility of just kind of calling for stuff when it seems like it's time to roll for something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And sometimes I like the contest, right? When it feels like a contest, we've used it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be like, okay, this is a contest, like your legal challenge in Ox.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a contest.
Do you know I strangely didn't include that one? Because we'd already talked about how we do that wrong. Because we just decided that we do it the way that we like it and we don't care what the rules say. I mean, because the idea is like a test is an obstacle to be overcome. A contest is something that the players want to do and something opposes them. That's the actual definition in the rules. We don't do that. This is an aside one for us. Like, we don't do that. It's fine. Like, it's never really caused a problem in the game to me. So what does it matter? I think these are the problems with Cortex Prime for me, is like there's too many ways to do a thing. Like, more than I am comfortable with options that all feel fine, but also potentially incorrect. Like, there's no, like, the game doesn't have like a real game flow to it.
Well, I mean, it's hard to have a game flow in your toolbox.
Sure.
You're just parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a fully crafted game, a D&D, a dungeon world, whatever, right? You build that flow in because those things are, those frameworks, right? The procedure and mechanisms are like set up to go. But in Cortex, it's more like, I have dumped a bunch of Legos on the table, build the thing you feel like, And now it has its own flow to it, but there's no like Cortex feel. Like every Savage Worlds game eventually played for a long enough time feels like a Savage Worlds game. Eventually you wind up using all the same edges and all of a sudden you're like, well, that's pretty much Savage Worlds for you. But Cortex is like kind of like they're all kind of Cortex-y.
Well, we still have tests and contests and plot points and dice building and traits.
Sure, but mods like start to overwrite things and like and knock other things out. And if you don't use this mod and you use that mod, and then if you play any of it wrong, you've made a unique instance of Cortex, which plays like a unique instance of Cortex.
Yeah. I played 3 of these games really extensively, and they are Ox, Children of the Shroud, and Leverage. And Leverage is an older Cortex game before we even had this. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is a discussion we should be having later, but we're doing it now, so we're doing it now. That's fine. They all feel different because of how we implement tests and contests in different ways. We have combat sequences in Children of the Shroud. That means turn order matters a lot more. Like who goes when and who gets to go, who gets to take actions, because it's not considered necessarily an exchange. When we engage in a duel, that's an exchange because we're actually rolling back and forth. But if T just decides to swing at somebody with his sword, that person needs to at some point get a chance to swing back, because that's not what they get to do when they're rolling the dice.
Right.
Because the game is not set up to be one roll solves everything, like Powered by the Apocalypse does. So that makes more sense there. Now, when we play Ox, it's way different because the disasters that occur, those rolls and failure states usually mean timers tick down. And that's purposely designed, and it's clever, and I like it.
Sure, and it also means like a typical roll encompasses like sometimes hours.
Sure.
There's no turn order because we never get down to turns.
Yeah, it's really like, what is somebody doing in this segment?
Yeah.
Because we play by segment. We really do play by segments for the most part.
Yeah.
People that's been listening understand it. People that aren't listening, it's sort of like the exploration phase of an old school role-playing game. A Shadow Dark does this really well, where it's like, this is a segment, a 10-minute segment. What are you doing in this 10-minute segment?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what exploration thinking are you doing in this 10-minute segment? Are you checking the door for traps? Are you checking these walls? Are you like reading this book to try to figure out some secrets about things? Like, that's what we're talking about with our Ox game, is like, here's this hour segment. Alpha is working on this weird machine that the builders have built. Tam is like in there, like trying to decode some code to like learn how to read it and then figure out how to make it work. While Gree is like, how are me and Polly going to figure out how to get this thing to biologically do what we want it to do so that we can create some spores to help shield the ship in some way. Like, and that takes all time.
Yeah.
And then when we roll ones, things happen. And then when we fail, time moves along, because that's the prime crux of that game is the timer. Like our prime opposition is the timer for the most part.
Yeah, not everything has a timer, right? Like not everything.
But all the cool and dramatic moments pretty much have timers.
Yeah.
Because that is the primary opposition, is time from whatever disaster is like befalling.
Exactly. I
think it's interesting how that action-based resolution, just resolution mechanics, and how like you take your turn, which is really what we're talking about, is how you take a turn in that game. I have no idea how your Long Live the Queen game works.
Kind of like this game.
Yeah. Leverage plays a lot like Ox. Like, what are you doing to prep for the heist, right? And then we go heist. So like, you're going to try to get past this part. So that's a little bit more moment to moment. But yeah, it's the same deal for the most part.
Let me come at it from this particular angle. What is the core loop of a Cortex Prime game?
It's the core loop of whatever Cortex game we're talking about.
So you've got a toolkit. You're putting things together to make the thing that you want.
When I was talking about that before, Bob, I wasn't talking about the core loop. I was talking about like the primary feel of how the game functions.
I get it. I'm just like, from another perspective, like also like there is no core loop by default.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Lego thing.
You're basically creating your own core loop when you put everything together.
But they don't even have solid like we have to eventually make up what a turn order looks like and how that functions in different spaces. So like, we're not even creating a core loop for the game. We're creating the actual like encounter design for encounter mechanics for the game too.
Mm-hmm.
The more core building block has to be designed by the people playing the game. And I don't know that that's very well explained in the book.
It's why like the Cortex Prime book should never be your first role-playing game.
No.
Right? The Cortex Prime role-playing game is like a game for like seasoned role players, because you will subconsciously fill in all the parts that you need, because that's what's happened. Like there is a core loop in Ox, there's a way now that I write and run adventures, like for you guys to do things. There's a very distinct core loop in Long Live the Queen where from the time a mission ends, not between missions, but the start and end of a mission, or I should say the end and end of a mission, there are like specific things that we play out. The first thing we do is we play a bunch of scenes that have nothing to do with spy stuff. Like it's like catching up on personal stuff. And then there's a mission briefing. Then there's intelligence gathering. Then there is execution.
Yeah, you created a core loop of play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like had to build that, right?
Yeah.
Had to build it. And we fell into it. Like initially it wasn't there. And then like in a mission or two, I was like, oh, I should put this in there, put that there. And then the next time I went to write one, I was like, oh, what did I do at the beginning of the last adventure? Where I looked at the top and I was like, oh, copy this stuff, paste it over.
You do see where I'm saying though, like,
Yeah.
it's even deeper than that, where we have to decide.
Oh, 100%.
What an encounter looks like.
Yeah.
Like we don't even have, like, this game doesn't barely gives you that.
No, and that's why the first couple episodes of Ox kind of fumble around a bit, because before we could even build a core loop of the game, we had to figure out how any of this worked. The whole thing for, was it the Fire Cane on Kearsum was, can we even play this? Does stopping a fire cane wind up being an interesting story?
It is.
Turns out it was.
Yeah.
It turned out it was, but we didn't know that.
Yeah, and it also helped you build, like, what does that look like? Like, well, I'll put a timer here and I'll put a bunch of obstacles that the people have to overcome while the timer is ticking down before it gets to 0, because then bad things happen.
Well, and we also built the genius test.
Yep, there's
the two-part genius test.
which is for us really to build new tech.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's its primary function
exactly.
in the game. Like, part of like the more overarching procedural thing.
Yeah, when you want to invent new tech, there are like 5 things that have to get done. Only 2 of them require rolls, because it was like, well, if everybody had to do all 5 of these things,
It would be a slog.
super boring,
Yeah.
right? We developed a thing where it's like you pick one, I pick one, which gets to be fun because then you may pick like one you're really good at, and I may pick the one that I think is going to be more exciting in the story, which is almost always implement.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, agree. You're going to have to roll to jump into the ocean with that device, like those kinds of things. But yeah, I think with Cortex, like really the interesting part of it is you build so much of the game, and some of it you build subconsciously. Like
You do.
I don't think it took us like probably 2 or 3 sessions before the Ox encounter system got smoothed out.
I will tell you, from this discussion, I will never build one subconsciously again, because
Correct.
now I'm aware of
Yeah,
it.
I agree.
And I think I'm going to say this thing. Cortex is not my favorite game. It's probably my favorite game that's like these games.
Yeah, some assembly required game.
Some assembly required, and a game that has a pretty potent meta currency. An
Yeah.
ability to affect like traits, to build traits and things like that. It's probably my favorite game that functions this way. It's not very good at telling you that this is what you're supposed to be doing with it. I wish there was a chapter in there that's like, here's how you build a game. Think about what your encounters are going to be structured like. Think about what your core loop of gameplay is going to be structured like. I wish that was in the book somewhere.
There could exist a second Cortex book that was like, if this is the toolbox, this is the carpentry manual.
Yeah.
Like, go get the saw and the hammer, and this is how you put them to use.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of good tools in here. I really do. This conversation, I didn't even think about the encounter design thing until we started talking about core loops. I'm like, oh, that's what we had to build, because we didn't know. And then we're pretty good about building core loops out of games, because a lot of games don't do a good job of explaining core loops.
Sure.
Or don't have core loops that we want. I don't know, what's the core loop of Savage Worlds? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shrug.
Jerry just shrugged
Well, it's
at me.
fast. It's
That's not a core
Serious,
loop.
and it's fun.
And that's actually true. I mean,
it's not actually those things.
I mean, it might have been 15 years ago. I mean, this thing is a 15-year-old game.
it's fun, but it's not. It's fast, but it's not. That's not the core. There are so many things you can do with it. Like any game that's more of a cookie cutter game. You know, what's the core loop of GURPS?
Yeah, I
Correct.
don't know.
Well-
Let me ask a better question. What's the core loop of Deadlands? Exactly. That's my point. What's the core loop of 50 Fathoms?
Follow the breadcrumbs.
Okay. Like, at least it's got it then, right?
Yeah.
Like, you follow a breadcrumb until you get to a plot point, then you engage the plot point so you can follow to another breadcrumb, right?
Yeah.
That's a core loop of play. Like, it's not, I
Sure.
don't know, you can say it's not strong, but it's there.
Sure, later games come to mind, like of course Blades.
Yeah,
being,
I mean, Blades has got
being
it
like
built
the
in.
most overt. Like
Yeah.
this, like not even hinting. Like this game is played in the following phases, which is great, right? I don't have a problem with that. But I think, especially when you look back at past games, like one of the weird, I don't want to say weird, but one of the things that isn't always clear, right, is what is the actual core loop of this game. And if it's not there, like you said, very few games will actually tell you to go make one.
Yeah.
Because I also think the further you go back, the less that concept was understood.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning of the hobby, there's an implied core loop, and it's the same core loop that actually your Dungeon World game used, right?
Yep.
You're in a town, you're in a dungeon, you take the treasure, go back to the town, you spend the treasure, you level up, you go back to the dungeon.
Yep. And with the one caveat of like, you have to travel to the dungeon.
Correct.
Because that was always dangerous.
Right. The thing about the Airy Peaks is the Airy Peaks, in a very amusing way, commercializes.
I did. I did it on purpose, and I cut out the travel to the dungeon part.
Yeah, I mean, what you basically did was take the core loop of a standard Dungeons and Dragons game, merged it with the Gold Rush of
totally did.
Right, because it became and like, you know, the Town Foot is kind of a little Deadwoodish.
It is.
Yeah,
it's commercialized Deadwood.
Yeah, it's dangerous. It's got a whole bunch. It's got too many adventurers wandering around in it with too much money.
Yep,
and it attracts weird shit. Yeah,
and people,
which is great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
It's got plenty of places to spend your cash
or lose it, like on the riverboat.
But yeah, like there's a core loop there.
Vampire whores.
This is beyond, like, there's no mod for core looping in Cortex, and there shouldn't be a mod because you just should build that yourself.
Yeah, but I do think you're right that there's another book that's like, hey, here's a bunch of Cortex rules. Here's how you build a Cortex game.
Now, I will say that those 3 example games are all good versions of how to do that, but they don't tell you how they exactly tell you how they did it.
No, I mean, for the ones I've run, like, some of it's been intentional, some of it's just been accidental. It's just, I guess the good part is I'm a creature of habit, right? So I like patterns and I like habits. So once something starts working, I'm like, well, let's just kind of keep doing that.
Yeah, right. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. All right, let's move on to the next one because we should probably.
That was very insightful, by the way.
I mean, you guys brought it out, so I just thought it'd be interesting. Bob really did it. He's like, core loop. I'm like, no, encounter. Like, what does the encounter look like? Anyways, the Doom Pool. Now, I want to talk about the Doom Pool because I want to talk about Crisis Pools because we use Crisis Pools in our Ox game.
Yes,
sort of.
And not
kind
Doom,
of.
And not Doom Pools.
Not Doom Pools. So the Doom Pool is a mod that serves as a combination of ambient threat level, GM resource, and pacing mechanic. I actually think the Doom Pool is overblown and not as well as implemented as I want it to be, but also still kind of cool.
Sure.
It's sometimes called the Trouble Pool, the Danger Pool, or some other thematic time pool. When the GM has a Doom Pool, they don't get a bank of plot points, so Phil would not get any plot points. Players earn and spend their plot points directly into and out of a central pile, and the GM spends dice out of the Doom Pool instead of using their own plot points. So there you go. That's the Doom Pool. And at the beginning of each session, the GM starts with a Doom Pool of at least D6. If a session is of global or cosmic scale, the pool may start with 3 or 4 dice. And if the session is a major breakpoint in the campaign, the size of these starting dice might be 8 or 10. When it comes to like testing against the difficulty of a situation, you roll against the Doom Pool.
Like
that
the
is
whole pool?
The whole pool.
Oof.
It's terrible. Like, man, I always thought that was brutal when I would run sessions of Marvel heroic role playing.
Sure, but in Marvel, don't you have like a pretty good chunk of dice?
Sure, but you still only get to
2.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, the same thing with the Doom Pool. You only get 2, and they do start at D6. So it's not terrible, right? Like, you succeed more often early on, so you start rolling ones and building up that Doom Pool. Because that's what happens is you start adding dice into the Doom Pool or bumping up dice in the Doom Pool when ones get rolled. So I don't have to read that part now because we just talked about it.
Right.
Beyond that, like the Doom Pool does all the things that you can do with a plot point. So you're a plot point primer for what GMs can do. That's what Doom Pool does.
Yep.
Let's talk about the Crisis Pool now. So with this mod, the Doom Pool mechanic represents multiple localized problems. So each of these smaller problems has its own pool of dice and spends dice just like a Doom Pool would. We don't do that.
I just like assigning problem multiple dice.
Correct.
Yep.
But only for things that the problem might be able to influence. These are often called Crisis Pools to distinguish them from the larger session-wide Doom Pool. You can build a Crisis Pool out of Doom Pool dice. You'll be like, I'm going to take these Doom Pool dice and make a Crisis Pool. So now you have to deal with the Doom Pool or the Crisis Pool.
Yes. In our game, what basically happens is I will tell you something like, oh, this gigafauna is represented by 3d10.
Yeah.
When it rolls 3d10. And you may take dice out. Like, that's the part I like, is you can begin to overcome the problem by making your rolls and using your effect die to lower or knock out dice, because I think that's fun.
I agree.
Yep.
I think the best implementation of this that we've seen so far in our game was that time when you did the second fire cane, the planet-wide fire cane, where you had multiple crisis pools or crisis mobs. I think we call them crisis mobs.
Crisis mobs, yeah.
It's basically looked like a pyramid scheme.
It was a pyramid scheme. In other words, the higher, like the things that were on the bottom were the real problems that were going to affect everything on the planet and destroy the planet eventually. But everything on the top was funneling down into the stuff at the bottom. So like a reverse pyramid scheme, because the stuff on the bottom of the pyramid usually funnels into the top. In this case, it was the top and funneling into the bottom, right?
True.
If we attack those bottom areas of traits, Bill would be able to pick up all the dice from the stuff above it.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for us. Like we couldn't, like we'd be rolling against like 6 and 7 dice.
We had to start at the top and work our way down and whittle them away.
And there's timers going on because the timer is an important part of that game.
Right. And the reason, like just so that people understand how it was working, there was a problem that was this influx of gravitons that was pouring into the ocean that was causing tidal waves and tectonic instabilities.
They can't listen to this one.
Correct. And so the result of those things, which was geological instabilities and a buildup towards a basically mega fire cane, was all being caused by this influx of gravitons. And so you could just band-aid the wound, but it got worse and worse as the timer got down because those gravitons were still pouring in, or you could cut off the gravitons and basically keep everything simmering until you could handle it.
Yeah.
So it gave you guys like a choice of like, which problems are you going to tackle? Oh, because the gravitons were like hard to deal with and they were kind of dangerous, where some of the other things were a little more straightforward because you guys had dealt with them before, like calming a volcano, handling a tsunami. I love that these are
they're all routine.
These are routine things in Ox.
They were routine for us after 20 sessions.
Yes.
Yep.
Bend space time.
So let me ask a question about this then. So
Sure.
we didn't use crisis pools or doom pool for this. What would happen if we did? Like, how do you think that would change the gameplay? Although it's a tough question probably because a lot of us haven't played with a doom pool before. Like, I don't know if anybody else has played with a doom pool aside from me.
No, because you played it in Marvel.
Yeah,
right?
I ran like 6 sessions of Marvel, so I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember, like when things go wrong, right? Like I get dice from you guys. Like if I buy ones.
Yeah, there are dice that go into the doom pool.
Yeah.
So every time we roll ones, like you can basically buy them for dice in the doom pool, which then makes the doom pool more potent. Which means you could still set up traits on the table.
Sure.
Like you could still. Jerry's blowing up the podcast with his phone, which is fine.
That's a very Chris season 1.
Yeah, I know,
That's
right?
a very Chris season 1 kind of thing.
Season 2 thing.
Yeah. You know what? I'll hypothesize because I think the Doom pool, and it actually works fairly close to the Doom suit in Marvel Saga, with the idea that as the players do cool things and start racking up ones and you start transferring them into your pool and building your pool up, that you get to then have like the strikes back part.
Yeah.
Right? Where you get to come back. And I don't know in Ox if that would have been as much fun. Like you guys are doing super genius things. And then it's like, boom, the fire cane like rages and wipes out something.
It would have been very dramatic.
Yes.
I think it would have created different kinds of tension in the game.
Oh, definitely. 100% it would have caused different kinds of tension.
I think the thing that would drive me crazy about it as a game is that I think it's not exactly easy to attack the Doom pool outright. I don't think you can go after it. And if you get 2 D12s in your Doom pool, there's a rule that you can just end the scene in your favor.
Yes.
Which drives me crazy. I wish that wasn't a thing.
Well, I mean, and that would be like, well, the fire cane rolls over the city and everything's burnt.
Yeah, because that becomes the timer then. And I don't like, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think the way we played it out works a little better. Is like you have the countdown timer, like, hey, you have 8 turns until the fire cane makes landfall. Get geniusing. And then you guys do stuff. And because our things are like kind of crisis mobs, you wear it down. So even if the timer runs out, but the fire cane hits and it's a D6 fire cane, you know, when you roll for the city to see if it's okay, like it's probably going to be okay. Like it's probably going to beat that 6.
It increases the likelihood that it's going to be okay at that point.
You know what I will say that I think would be kind of interesting? If there was like a modified Doom pool that was sitting next to like you during these, and whenever we rolled ones, you could put dice into that Doom pool, instead. Like you could buy our things to put dice into that doom pool, and then if you ever wanted to, when we go after a thing, you could pull another die out of there.
Sure, that'd be
to
interesting.
Add to the crisis mob for that one roll, and that goes away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just be like, oh, I'm just gonna make this a little harder.
That might be interesting. Yeah.
It's kind of like the mana dice.
It is like the mana dice. I really like the mana dice mechanic. I designed it, so I'm biased. I'm 100%.
No, I mean, look, when in that fight with Jenna, right? Like it was nice to be able to look and be like, my pool's looking a little anemic. Time to add a little magic and a mana die in here to spice up this roll.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Or especially, I think one of you guys in one of those volleys had set pretty high, and I was just kind of looking at my numbers, and I was like, oh, I should pull my D10 mana die into this because this is probably a good time to see if I can't help close this up.
Yeah, absolutely. I find some of these thought exercises to be interesting like that. Like,
sure.
How do you think it would affect the game? Would it be better? Would it be different? How would it change it?
I can tell you there's at least a couple of scenes where if we had been using a Doom pool, things would have got very interesting. Like the day that Jerry rolled the
4 ones.
The 4 ones.
Yeah.
That Doom pool would have been like, ba-boom.
I have a preference for gameplay as far as like, I like when there's a timer that Phil has set, whether he is like gauged it right or not. After like 5 sessions or 6 sessions, he started gauging them properly. Like he's like, oh, I get how these work now.
Yeah.
Because then it turns it into a game, right? The Doom pool means that if a game master wanted to, I'm not going to, Phil would never do this, but a game master, if they wanted to, if Jerry did something like that, rolled 4 ones, instantly bumps a D6 to like a D12. Then we only need like 4 or 5 more ones for that scene to be over for us in the negative. So it actually disincentivizes us to roll larger dice pools because we don't want to roll as many ones. That's a gameplay thought to think about when designing or deciding what you're going to do. Like the Doom pool, there's a play against the Doom pool that you have to engage in when you are playing with a Doom pool as a player. Like to think about like, I don't want to give any more ones because the game master looks like they're angling to end the scene for some reason.
Sure.
Yeah, the decision-making changes.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's that too, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that gameplay. It's not for me. Like, that's not what I want because I like the timer because the timer creates tension. If we mess up, then we just ran out of time.
For Ox, I think it's great. If you are playing a superhero game, that idea of the bad guy pool building up because of the kind of ebb and flow of superhero fights, like that can be fun.
Yeah. I'd like to see it so that the Doom pool just can't take you out with 2d12s. So
I also think that's fine.
I hate that.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't just be like, yeah, we're not going to use that part.
And you could just change it to like, if these are big ones, because like, what if it's like a major event? Like you're already starting with 2d10? Like, what are you doing? Like, I mean,
boom, 616 universe is gone. 2d12, you're out.
Yeah, right. Like,
incursion over.
You're not wrong.
Reed, you were supposed to save us.
Yep. Nope.
I got nothing.
Reed roll 4 ones. Incursion over.
Feel free to move it to like 3 or 4 d12s to like end the scene because that feels like it's like, oh yeah, then you can actually play against it a little bit better. But like I said, I don't know any way to attack the Doom pool. I don't know that there's a way to go after the Doom pool.
I think what would be cool is a variable threshold being like the higher the stakes, the more 12s you got to put in there.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I'm into that.
So if we're like trying to thwart a bank robbery, 2d12, bank robbers get away. The Scorpion gets away with his bags of money.
There you go.
But the 616 and the 716 universes are about to have an incursion.
We're talking 5d12.
Yeah, 5d12.
So does the Doom pool not allow you to buy it back down again if the GM rolls ones or if you roll a spectacular success?
Pretty sure it doesn't.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's not a thing.
Doom. I'm going to Google it.
I mean, I've read through these and I didn't notice that in there. And then I don't remember that being a thing in the Marvel role-playing game either. It's like, you just can't go after the Doom pool. It's just there. I mean, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure on the internet that's listening to this.
In the Saga game, it's actually quite fun. Every time you play a card with the Doom suit, you just hand it to the GM.
Oh, then they have it to play it later.
They put it in their hand.
I remember that rule from Saga.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, if you're holding it, you're like,
Dragonlance 5th Age game, sorry.
You're like, do I want to play this Doom 10 and like take this guy out, but also have to give the Doom 10 to the GM who's going to use it on someone else?
Especially since the Doom suit was the only one that had 10s, I believe, or one of them. The Doom suit had a card that was higher than all the other cards in the deck.
Yeah.
So
that sounds right.
It was the only way to get those.
Yeah, there's your difficult decisions.
Yeah, that's fun. I like it. That's good stuff.
It's pretty cool.
All right.
Let's talk about stress now, because this is the other thing that we don't do right in our children's style game. We do it fine. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the way we do it, but we don't adhere to the exact rule, right?
We don't do it raw.
Yeah, we definitely don't do it at rules as written. So with this mod, instead of using complications to track injury, damage, and other negative personal effects on your character, you implement a distinct trait called stress. Complications can still be in play, but they represent external hindrances, obstacles, and other problems that aren't direct injury or negative personal conditions like exhaustion or pain. So if you have stress, this is what happened with that thing where I was like, I attack, and you're like, that doesn't sound like an attack when I totally was attacking, but just it was creating a trait.
Yeah.
That's what stress does. It's supposed to replace all of that other stuff. We don't do that the way that it's written, which I don't care because I love being able to put traits on the table, especially on people.
I love traits on the table.
Yeah, like all that knocked off balance stuff, that's supposed to be stress.
Sure.
That we put on Jenna, that's supposed to be stress.
Yeah.
According to the rules. So we don't play it that way. So everybody out there, when you're listening to that, we don't play it that way. That's not the rules as written way. You can do it the way we did it, though. I think it's fun.
Well, I think we allow for two things, right? So if you're going to put a trait on somebody, we let that go on the table as a trait.
Yeah.
And if you're just like, I'm going to hurt this person.
Well, that's stress.
Yeah. Like my intention is to take them out of the scene through some sort of damage, psychically, magically, physically, whatever.
Yeah. I just want to be very clear. Like when we want to put a trait on somebody when you're using the stress mod, that's just stress.
Yeah.
Unless it's some external hindrance, like I lock them in darkness.
Yeah. And stress is like the thing. If you fail contest, take stress, which kind of we do because the duel is a form of contest.
It is a form of contest.
And you do take stress.
Yep. With the option to put traits on people when you win.
Yes.
Spend plot points to put traits. Once again, like, what do you think would happen to our Children of Struggle if we actually played it straight? I don't think it would be nearly as dynamic.
Yeah, everything would just be like racking up stress.
Yeah, because that's what the mod's for.
Yeah, just racking up stress. I don't know.
Would it be better? I don't know that it would be better for us.
I don't know. I come from the school of fate. I love things on the table.
Sad things on index cards.
Yes, I fucking love sad things on index cards, right? I love fucking around and just being like, you're mad because you lied to your mom. Normally that would just be stress.
No, here, let me check this out. Since we're playing Children of the Shroud, right? And we wanted that to be a thing, like those things to be on the table. We could say that our stress is physical stress only.
Sure.
And then anything mental is a trait.
Sure.
Right. And then we have to make the determination when a thing happens.
Sure.
So then something like that could happen. But me like blasting somebody in the face to knock them off balance with magic would just be stress.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad.
Yeah, I like the option, right? I like the option. I also, because I guess I like the narrative piece. Like if it's just stress, it's stress. But if you say like, I've frozen this ground and made it slippery, or this ice wall is toppling over, like you're buried under, like, I don't know, there's a narrative difference to it than just stress.
Sure. I agree.
And I think when they're on the table, again, from the school of fate, that narrative feeling, like people work them in.
Let me throw this out there. Like, what if we just remove stress from our game?
We still need a way to like take people out.
No, there's a way. If anytime one of those traits gets knocked up over D12, they're taken out.
I mean, essentially, then, yeah, I guess it wouldn't actually make a huge deal because in essence, all of you basically have an invisible card on the table that says like physical stress.
Pretty much.
That is just going up.
Not just physical stress, but any stress. Because
yeah.
I mean, we have an arcane shield too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Which just basically buys you more points of stress.
It does. It makes us sturdy.
It's 2 tracks of stress.
It makes us sturdy is what it does. But but the arcane shield is definitely for physical stress. For sure. Not mental.
And it's a pacing thing, right? When your arcane shield pops, the stakes just changed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think so. I don't know. Anybody else have anything to say about stress? I find that particular discussion is fascinating because we have basically, by including stress plus all the other stuff, have made our characters very, very tough. We are tougher characters because of that mechanical choice.
Definitely.
Which is fine with me.
I think you need to be in that game.
I guess. I mean, we would just tune it differently, right?
Well, because we're kids going up against larger than life problems. And in order to survive in a game with action, the kids have to be tough enough to risk doing it.
I don't disagree with you, but we've fought one larger than life problem. We have fought an angel, and that's it, as far as larger than life problems.
You don't think that Jenna was larger than life?
No, she's a kid like us.
No, she wasn't skilled.
She's just a kid, just like us. Maybe a little bit more skilled than us, but like maybe a year older than us.
I don't think we would have beat her one-on-one.
There was 3 of us.
I know that. That's what I mean.
I will assure you that Jenna was actually weaker than you guys.
Well, there you go.
Interesting.
She only has a D10 stress, which eventually is what you guys took out. Jenna just rolled like a monster.
Yeah, and Samia did everything she could to get away from us. We haven't dealt with hardly any larger than life real problems that would have affected us, that would have been needed for our stress levels. And we're very tough because of that.
Phil is whistling off camera here.
I know. It's coming. There should be. Like, we saw an angel to begin with. We're probably going to see something comparable later, right? Because that's how this goes. but we're also like 150 experience, we're like 100 experience points more than we were then.
Mm-hmm.
So like we should be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
People can hear that in the game, right? And just listen to the game. I hear what you're saying. I just don't think it's correct because of the fact that we haven't dealt with that many larger than life things that we couldn't handle, like that weren't within our skill set.
I won't argue that.
I think what made Jenna actually tough to fight is the duel system. Because the duel system funnels you guys basically like one at a time into that fight. Like some of you do some supporting stuff and things like that, but once you get into that duel, like one of you is fighting, the other two of you are doing, and normally I just throw other shit on the table to keep the other two busy.
That's not necessarily true because we wait till duel's over before the next person takes their action.
Yeah.
And they can just jump in.
They could.
In fact, we've done that.
Oh, then I think maybe the other part of it is like, well, I don't know. I think that contest structure just gives like, it's certainly giving me a fighting chance. Like
it helps. Jerry doesn't like it. I love it because I know exactly how it works.
It feels to me like a duel.
It feels like a duel, but mechanically it's beneficial to get into it because it's a way to generate a lot of mana really fast.
Mm-hmm. It is.
If you can go first, win on the third roll, you go first and like you kick it back to the other person, you get a mana die. You go, they roll higher. You go third, you get another mana die. You win, you get your mana die and effect die. You've just gotten 3 mana dies for that one exchange. Like, It's like, okay, like I now have a bunch of power at my disposal to go thwap somebody. Which there are a bunch of actions that you can take that don't get you a mana die, which is when you're not using your sword. Or your weapon, I should say. You have an axe. Yeah. I find the stress thing to be interesting, how we use it, and how our shift has made us just a lot tougher as characters, which is fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but it's not Cortex standard.
Sure.
Yeah. I find it very interesting, but not surprising in the least that we have drifted those rules.
Yeah, me neither. Like, we just play the game that we want to play. It's fine. All right, well, anybody else have anything to say about stress? Anybody else want to bring anything else up before we move on? That's 3, and we're done. We're pretty far in. We can get on out of here now.
Yeah, that's good.
Bob, why don't you tell us about another show on Misdirected Mark before we get out of here?
You know, I think I would like to do that. We have a show called Bonus Experience, in which Monica and her friends explore gameplay and design through the lens of diversity, while also sharing some of the dumbest humor gaming has to offer.
Well, thank you for listening to us wax differently about a bunch of different mods in Cortex Prime and the game itself. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you for listening to Misdirected Mark Plays. Now let's do some Patreon shoutouts before we get out of here. Let's start with the Royal Court. Ty Prunty, known as Lord Timemonger, Lars Henrik Evjan, the Lord Out of Time, Jim, the Royal Merchant Emeritus, Chromatic Chameleon, the Queen's Spy Mistress, J.T. Evans, the Queen's Librarian, Schmitty, the Keeper of the Labyrinth, Andrew Dacey, the Warden of Whiskies, John Carney, the Court Necromancer, Craig, the Lord of One Name, Tiberius Starcrash Smith, the Baron of Britannia, Eric Bonce, the Weregator, and Kevin Lovecraft, the Royal Beard. Other patrons include Chris Constantine, Miko Froelich, Eric Simon, Not That Billy Mitchell, Fiona, Huxley, Kathleen Halperin, Christopher Gamelk, Michael Becca Sperm, Joseph Knoll, Carlos, Hepdilemma, Michael Draper, Alice Kira, Jim Fitzpatrick, Brantley Harris, Steve Radabaugh, Rory McLeod, Ninjabi, Richard Wyatt, Joseph Peralta, Brian Kurtz, my Brett, not my Brett, but somebody's Brett, Chris Steele, Jared Rasher, Eileen Barnes, and Brandon Barnes. Thank you so much for being our patrons. If you'd like more content like this, you can check it out at misdirectedmark.com. If you are interested in supporting the show and other shows on Misdirected Mark Productions, you can go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/MMP. You can get a whole bunch of stuff there, including extra bonus podcast episodes, material concerning this game, The Children of the Shroud. That includes character sheets, our game rules, some of our setting stuff, and Phil's thoughts from behind the screen. If that's not your thing, then you can just tell a friend about us. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you're looking for other podcasts to listen to, there are a variety of shows on our network. You can check out Panda's Talking Games with Phil and Senda, where they talk about all kinds of game stuff. The Gnomecast, where a bunch of gnomes get together to talk about gaming topics to avoid being thrown in the stew. And Thaco with Advantage, where Ange and Jared talk all about D&D. They're going to talk about it anyway, so why not record it? If that's still not enough content for you, we have a number of other podcasts that we recommend and are friends with. The Tabletop Bellhop, your board game concierge. The Knights of the Night, an excellent AP podcast. Mastering Dungeons, where they talk all about D&D if you want some more D&D stuff. And How to RPG with Sean P. Kelly. You can catch that on YouTube. He's live on Saturday mornings. I'm often in the chat room there. Well, this has been a Misdirected Mark production, the media arm of Encoded Designs. Mic drop. We out.